If you ask any serious trader to name the greatest of all time, one name always seems to pop up: Jesse Livermore. But look, this isn't some simple success story. This is a cautionary tale. It's about a man who absolutely conquered the market but could never seem to conquer himself. And in his story, we find a masterclass in what separates real, lasting profit from just spectacular, explosive ruin.
You know, Livermore understood a fundamental truth that, honestly, 99% of traders today still ignore. The market doesn't know you exist. It doesn't care about your position, your hopes, your problems. Getting angry at it is like yelling at the rain. It's totally pointless. He knew, better than anyone, that you need complete emotional detachment to survive. And yet, as we're about to see, even the master himself wasn't immune to breaking his own rules.
And that really brings us to the core question here, doesn't it? We're talking about a true prodigy, a guy who had this almost supernatural feel for the market's rhythm. But is that enough? Can sheer talent, pure genius, actually protect you when you don't have a system to protect you from your own worst instincts? Well, Livermore's life gives us the brutal, unfiltered answer to that.
Okay, so to really understand the fall, you first have to appreciate the insane scale of his success. Livermore became more than a trader. He became a legend, a market titan. He pulled off something that traders, even now, still dream about. It's arguably the single greatest trade in the history of the markets.
$100 million. Let that sink in for a second. That was in 1929. By shorting the market right before the Great Crash, he walked away with what would be, today, almost $2 billion. Think about that. He became one of the richest men on the entire planet. But this wasn't just a lucky guess. No way. It was the result of a system he had meticulously built, a system that was forged in failure.
See, Livermore didn't just show up and start winning. His path to the top was absolutely paved with catastrophic losses. I mean, he was wiped out completely multiple times. But the key difference, the thing that separated him from every other trader who blows up an account, is what he did next.
And this is probably the most critical lesson you will ever learn about trading. He didn't complain. He didn't blame high-frequency traders or the smart money. He went back to his journals, his detailed notes, and he performed a brutal, honest postmortem on every single mistake he made. He understood that a real trading education isn't found in your wins. It's forged in the fire of your failures, but only if you have the guts to study them.
So from that brutal self-analysis, he built his own personal operating system for the market, a set of rules that were non-negotiable. First, analyze every single failure. Second, follow the path of least resistance. In other words, don't fight the trend. Third, and this is a big one, cut your losses without hesitation. And fourth, build your position slowly, piece by piece, instead of just going all in on a gut feeling. This was his fortress.
But what happens when the architect of the fortress decides to just casually walk outside the walls? This is the turning point. After building a proven system that made him millions, Livermore himself, the master, fell victim to the most common, most destructive trading sin there is: listening to a hot tip.
Just look at this. This slide tells you everything. On the left side, you've got system trading. He followed his process, his rules, and the result? A $100 million profit. Then, on the right, you have impulse trading. He listened to some other so-called expert, broke his own rules, and went heavy into cotton based on a tip. The result? He lost 90% of his fortune. The lesson here couldn't be clearer. The market doesn't care how smart you are. It only rewards your discipline, period.
He actually said this after that devastating loss on cotton. He knew firsthand about the psychological trap of needing the market to come through for you. The second you trade from a place of desperation, of hope, of needing to pay your bills with this one trade, you've already lost. Your emotions are in the driver's seat, and you're not a systematic operator anymore. You're just another gambler.
So even after clawing his way back to make the greatest trade in history, the cracks in his foundation were just too deep. You see, he had a system for trading the markets, but he had no system for managing his risk, for preserving his capital, or for managing his own psychology when he wasn't staring at the charts. And that lack of a complete, holistic system, well, it led to an inevitable and tragic fall.
The collapse was shockingly fast. I mean, from the absolute top of the world in 1929 to declaring his third bankruptcy just 5 years later. His personal life completely fell apart. And then, in 1940, the man who once held the world's financial markets in the palm of his hand died with almost nothing.
This proves, beyond any doubt, that one big win means absolutely nothing if you don't have a structure to protect your capital and, more importantly, to protect yourself. So, why are we talking about this? Why does this matter to you right now? We're not here for a history lesson. We are here to pull out a blueprint. Livermore's life isn't just a biography you read, it's a set of hard-coded laws for every single trader who is serious about not just winning, but lasting.
So let's just boil this all down. These are the lessons written in the blood and tears of Jesse Livermore. Number 1, emotion is your greatest enemy. 2, a documented process isn't optional, it's non-negotiable. 3, big wins are totally meaningless without a risk management system. 4, stop listening to the noise, to the tips, to the gurus. And finally, number 5, your system isn't just about entries and exits, it has to be a complete architecture that protects your money and your mind.
So I'll leave you with this. This is the only question that really matters. It's not about how good your last trade was. It's not about your next big idea. It's this. Is the process you run day in and day out strong enough to save you from your own worst impulses? Your greed, your fear, your hope? Because as Livermore's story proves, the market isn't the biggest threat to your account. You are. If you've made it this far, you're not just curious, you're serious. And that's exactly who Stoa was built for. Here's the deal. We don't accept everyone. We run on an application-only system because we only work with people who are ready to operate at the next level. So if you want to stop wasting hours chasing noise and instead run a proven, documented process that gets results in less than 90 minutes a day, apply now. There are limited seats, and once they're filled, they're gone for the quarter. Click the link in the description, fill out the short application, and let's see if you're a fit. If you're watching this, my guess is you already know you should.